So it looks like the only opposition talking point that we're allowed to have in Canada are, where are the vaccines? What is Justin Trudeau doing about the vaccines? How come he hasn't got the vaccines? And I'm here to answer everyone's question. Where are the vaccines in Canada? Why are they so delayed? Why can't Justin Trudeau get them to market? Now, do you remember at the beginning of the year, the Conservatives made the criticism that we'll be last in line for the vaccines, and the media rushed in to defend Justin Trudeau. Ha 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 ha! We have the largest vaccine portfolio in the entire world! The entire world! We have so many vaccines that we're going to start to vaccinate third world countries. Well, now we're taking vaccines from third world countries. Fun fact, my favorite point was at my family weekly chat, where my family was parroting this, and my American family, who's very left-wing, so anti-American, was joking about how America is a third world country, and maybe we will bless them with our vaccines here in Canada. And I kept in my mind that, the easiest money I would ever make is if I bet people who would have a higher vaccination rate by the beginning of February, America or Canada. It would be the easiest money I've ever made. Because it doesn't matter how large your vaccine portfolio is if all the deals are shit. Now, let's explain. This is a pathology for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. It is corruption. It is not doing deals that get, what they're meant to do. So it's like, here's money for vaccines. A big part of all the Trudeau deals done over the last, 5-6 years have been in ways to sort of cut money to themselves. They're ways to funnel money back into the system. They're friggin' weak charity slush fund type deals. And you saw this in the middle of the pandemic too. The ventilator deal. I've talked about this before, right? The 15 days to flatten the curve. The science behind 15 days to flatten the curve. It made sense at the outset, right? Here's your curve of COVID vaccine, or COVID. We're going to get that. Now at here, there's the line of the ventilators and ventilator technicians. It wasn't that the disease is so deadly, because we know it's not the super Ebola virus. The problem is, if enough people get the coronavirus that goes over that line of ventilators, right, then we get into the dangerous point. That's what Italy hit at the beginning. Okay. The point was flatten the curve so you can bring the ventilator distribution up. Well, it turns out we overpaid by $100 million on our ventilator contract, and the ventilator contract was given to a company that had just been created a week before by a former Liberal MP, right? So this is the stuff that's happening in all these vaccine contracts, except the China one. We just gave $45 million to China, and they're just not giving us vaccines because we're still holding Meng Wanzhou. Like, how many times does Justin Trudeau need to touch the stove to realize that fire is hot before he realizes fire is hot? Right now, we're at like 17 or 18 times he has touched the big red thing and gone, owie, mommy, what's going on? Okay? And no one's told him, fire hot, Justin. It's, no, conservatives are mean and racist, and whatever, so, you dress up in blackface and touch the stove. Okay. So you have these type of ventilator contracts. I mean, look at, this is sort of everything that's been, look at everything that Navdeep Bains has touched in the last 5 years as well, right? The land deals with Raj Gurwal, right? You look at all this friggin' international spending on all these UN stuff. Why is he spending in the UN? He's giving his money to the rest of the world, taking away from Canadians. No, that's not really what he's doing. He's giving money to himself by doing this. Right? It's slush fund. It's you give money to different lobbies and international things, and then they then give you stuff back, and you get a job there when you go out there. So the primary focus of all these deals, you could say, yeah, Justin Trudeau can have 18,000 different vaccine deals for different types of vaccines, but if all of them are bunked, corrupt, sort of just ways to funnel money back to yourself, you're not actually buying the vaccines. You're just buying, political influence, or you're buying a job later on, or you're funneling money to yourself. So that's why the vaccines aren't getting to Canada, because they haven't been the primary focus of these deals. Like, this is the two types of chaos that exist in our world. It's the Trump type and the Trudeau type. And this is what drives conservatives crazy, is because you see the Trump type of chaos, and yes, he's tweeting random stuff, and sometimes he's talking about how, 80 billion people showed up in my crowd. And then the media say, oh my God, he said 80 billion people, this is unprecedented, things are corruption. But when it gets down to it, Trump does deals, right? You look at Americans' industrial capacity, it is way higher. They have the ability for rapid testing in the middle of outbreaks, right? They don't have massive supplies of vaccines, but they're not at great shortages because he got the vaccines in the deals. Whereas Justin Trudeau's is, oh nice, we need equity in vaccines. This is another thing that's delaying it. All the equity concerns, right? Instead of just doing what Israel did and just get the vaccines in the arms of those who are willing, then deal with the vaccine hesitancy later. This is real. I'll give you a story that happened in Canada from All right, so I have a lot of family in the medical community. Mom's got Moderna, brother's got Moderna, his wife's got Moderna, dad got Pfizer. I know other people, I got cousins, whatever. So none of my family has died of this death sentence, okay? But what was happening is my mom was part of a vaccination unit, went to go vaccinate an old folks home. Then their team, they had like 8 doses left over. So they just sent a message into their WhatsApp group of all the residents, so training doctors, hey, 8 doses left. First 8 to say they want them, come here, here's where they are. 8 people showed up in the WhatsApp group, they came, vaccinated 8 people, boom. Right? Then the hospital found out about this, and the bureaucrats found out about this. And they said, no, you cannot do that, right? Because they have to go through an equity file of whatever. So the next time they went out vaccinating, right, they had doses left over, they had to give them back to the hospital, and the bureaucrats, they checked in a day later, they still hadn't been distributed. Because they came back into the system, someone needed a lunch break, and it's a bureaucracy, right? This is how Israel is at a high vaccination rate. They'll, if they have extras, they just, whoever wants them, comes get them, they get them in the arms, they deal with the stuff later. So you have bureaucracy, you have bad deals, you have corruption, and this is what's delaying them, right? And no one can say this, and Aaron O'Toole's not going to ever say this. Because Aaron O'Toole's not going to say this, because this is why I had to blow the whistle on Aaron O'Toole, is because he's part of the crew that is dragging the Conservative Party into this type of management, where you can just sort of do shady deals, go in with special interests, and just find ways to funnel money back into yourself, into the party, to do nonsense like this. And this is where it kills people. Right, so this is the type of corruption that the media and the elites love, because it makes them, they don't have to think about it, because it's all a little bit more complicated. You don't have to look, right? But if Donald Trump were to tweet something, oh my God, unprecedented, end of the world. So how would you live in a country now that's experiencing vaccine shortages where the companies don't care about us? It's because the deals were never really prioritized on the vaccines. I guarantee you, all these deals at some way flowed money between whatever, either the Liberal Party or a mafia that runs something for the Liberal Party, or went to the Muslim Brother, to Khalistanis, to then funnel money back through to the Liberal Party. I guarantee you, the primary focus of any of these deals, or at least the secondary focus, was corruption, and that's why you're not getting them, because when the Trudeau government spends, let's say, $20 billion on vaccines, really, 7 to 10 billion of that is being spent on corrupt nonsense. And then, another couple $100 million are spent on bureaucracy and equity concerns, right? And very few are actually spent on vaccines, so that's why they're not coming. There you go. Just look at every deal he's done. Just look at where the money's going, see how much money is skimmed, and there's your answer. Is the focus of Trudeau's administration has never been Canada. It has been enriching the Liberal Party and keeping the circle of corruption flowing.